All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual who is going to be competing at BFL 74, and that goes down October the 12th. It is a lightweight bout on the main card. Gagan Gill and Adam Freitas testing skills, and happy to be talking to Adam on the show. How's the day going so far there, man?
Going good, man. Got some pad work in this morning, and just left 10th Planet a few hours ago. Got some good rounds in there too, so day's going good. Now I'm home with the kids.
Oh, nice. Were you at Delgado Boxing doing the pad work there?
No, I did pads early in the morning. We do it actually outside in the field at like 5:30 in the morning with Wandering Monk. He does Bully Bee Gone, so he helps me out in my early morning sessions and does pads with me. But I have been getting a lot of boxing work in at Delgado, so.
That must be great. Is that like what is that mindful of, just like getting in a level of work like early in the morning? Is like the outdoor component like something that like gives a level of maybe like holistic benefit or revitalization, or however you want to phrase it? Like, what's the methodology there?
Honestly, I wish it was more intrinsic than that, but it's literally I can get up and the kids are still sleeping, so I can get some work in, and I'm not worried about the kids running around, So everyone's sleeping. I'm not changing diapers or anything. It's a good couple hours in the morning where I can get work in, and that's not too much work for the girlfriend, So.
Yeah, and the individual you were training with there, I feel like I saw you put up a post, something to that effect. Like they are teaching like young lads how to like become like, well-adjusted adults. Like, can you talk a little bit more about that? Was that the same kind of individual there? Because I feel like I've seen you post about that.
Yeah, he runs a ProGranny basically. Disadvantaged youth, primarily young men, but he does work with women as well. But just gives them outlets through Muay Thai and other sports like that. Real good guy. So, but great pad holder. So he works with me. He's an early morning guy too. So he's awesome for getting some work in. It's kind of my way to get like 3 sessions a day without putting too much pressure on the girlfriend to have the kids by herself, 2 little kids by herself for that many hours a day. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, are they starting to get to that age where they're aware of what you're doing and like what your endeavors are, or maybe still not at that age of being like, fully comprehensive about it as much?
Hey, my oldest is almost 3, and I've already gotten shooting single legs, and we're doing some pad work and stuff like that. So he saw my last fight, and I think he's starting to like it. So he understands what's going on. He knows when I go to practice that Daddy's fighting. So I think he's catching the bug, I think. So
yeah, maybe he'll be on like BFL 550 or something like that.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, if his mom lets him. We're wondering how young we'll let him do like sparring and stuff like that. But he'll definitely be doing jiu-jitsu and boxing for as long as I can get him to do it. So.
Yeah, I would imagine he's like at the gym certain times, just seeing what you're doing, putting in that work there, just like 10th Planet of Etobicoke, as you kind of mentioned from the top there. Is he like a bit of a fixture in the gym in a certain sense, like just kind of peeking at what Dad's doing and all?
Not yet. I bring him around here and there, but mostly like we'll just be at home and he'll just ask me to put on either my fight or he likes watching UFC now. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, he likes the punching and kicking. Like he still hasn't grasped it fully, but he definitely likes it. So he gets excited and he goes around. We have little Kimora wear boxing gloves for him, and we'll throw them on all the time. And we'll do ground and pound and stuff. He likes it.
Well, that's awesome to hear, man. That's a fun sort of dynamic for sure. Is he like looking to watch the fights at all? Or I mean, you mentioned the dynamic with mom there, like maybe wait till after the fight. Like, how does that dynamic work? Is he like eager to check them out?
We'll wait till after the fight just in case it's a little too violent. Like the last one wasn't too bad, right? Other than the two quick nut shots that,
yeah.
He said twice, daddy boo boo with your pee pee, But other than that, if it's too bloody or anything like that, I might hold off on letting him watch that. I might freak him out, but.
Yeah, I think that's the move for sure. Just make sure everything's all good. Maybe even like watch it with him after the fact. But you mentioned that last fight there and overcoming that adversity. I mean, definitely 2 nut shots, not an ideal place to be in there, but it's probably cathartic getting back into the, win column, overcoming that adversity there. You got a nice guillotine choke finish there at BFL 73. Like, what were the, I guess, overall thoughts on that, July victory there?
I needed a win, man. I was 1-2 for too long, and I'm not a 1-2 fighter. I had some tough fights, and arguably I thought I won the last one of the CFFC, and with all the fights getting canceled, it just, it really hurt being the level I know I am and having to sit like almost 2 years on a 1-2 record. So it just felt good to get in there and show people, kind of everything minus, I know it wasn't a quick fight, but I showed that I've got hands, and I showed that every time I touched him with my hands, it hurt him. And when he had enough of that, I made a quick submission, and my jiu-jitsu's always been kind of my highlight. So I don't think I surprised anyone there. So, but I needed that win, man. It felt good.
Yeah, for sure. I would think it would kind of coincide with like a relatively recent post you had there talking about like wanting to make like a serious run at the age of 34 and stuff like that, like about a week or so after the last fight there. Like it's kind of interesting. Like you made that certain promise to yourself. You always struck me as a guy that was like ardently working quite a bit before that. Like what's the what kind of shift was in place there, and like what does that represent like in terms of like how the methodology might have changed? Like what are you doing differently to make that serious run you were talking about?
Well, it's a combination of my age, and I had my eyes opened with the Zachary Powell fight. I was getting by with all my fights just with good jiu-jitsu. I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't training hard, but I wasn't training like a pro athlete, and Zachary Powell exposed that for me. But I'm just real with myself. I'm 34 because of literally 10 fights being canceled. I've had years stolen from my career. So at 34, I only have 4 fights. I'm realistic. I can make one good run. I've got 2 kids. I got a good career. I'm able to put in the real effort right now, but to ask my family to put up with that when it's not coming into fruition is not fair. And I want to be a good family man, right? So spoke with my family, spoke with the girlfriend, and she's going to support me while we make one real good run at that. And that doesn't mean if I lose one that I'm going to stop. It's how I lose. Is it a couple losses in a row? But I like to be real with myself and my age and what I'm capable of. So it definitely is it's now or never for me at my age.
It's a fair point with like the canceled bouts kind of dynamic, though. Like just going through your topology here. I mean, I was talking to Matteo Vogel a bit earlier, actually, and like he was kind of previously joking about like if he had like the amount of fights that kind of mirror his canceled bouts, he'd have like almost more than double the experience. Does that like how do you interpret that? Does it get frustrating? Is there a certain sense of like feeling like maybe people respect your skills and they're not wanting to get in there? Like how would you characterize that dynamic? Is it just individual circumstance for each fight? Like why do you think you've had I guess so many canceled bouts previously?
I'd like to think I was promoted well and I had such a good amateur career, but I don't even think it's that. I think it's a combination of my bad luck and a combination of just how MMA is. It's not like pro boxing. You have so many amateur fights before you go pro, and in MMA you can basically just go pro. So what happens is you just get so many guys that aren't dedicated that sign for pro fights, and then they promote the fight and they let everyone know that they're a pro fighter, but then when it starts getting close they realize they're not a fucking pro fighter and they look for any way out of it. And it's that, and it's like it's the unprofessionalism. So like with the Tremaine thing, do I think Tremaine was afraid of me? No. What happened was he left his medicals until almost 14 days away from the fight, and he split his lip and had stitches, and there was no way that his doctor was going to clear him to fight. That should have never happened. He should have been medically cleared. Like leaving it till 2 weeks before the fight to get your doctor to fill out the paperwork is ridiculously unprofessional. And I think that's been a combination of why my fights have never come through. It's a lot of them were guys not getting their medicals done last minute, and the promotions not being honest with me about them not being done. How many times I've had on 24 hours notice tell me, hey, the guy didn't get his MRI done. Well, you knew he didn't have his MRI done weeks out, and those don't happen very fast. So it was just a combination of all those things.
Yeah, you've had some very unfortunate luck. Like I don't mean to laugh, but like I'm just like I guess thinking about that Tarps Off Fight Club card.
It's funny if you look at it.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting situation. Like it's good that you've been able to keep that composure and the temperament and everything like that, and good to see that these opportunities do end up manifesting. Like is there almost a level of camaraderie with the opponents you get to get in there with, just because they're facilitating you actually getting to compete and further kind of hone your skills? Like, is there a level of like respect and appreciation, even though there's like that combative interaction?
I respect every single guy that steps in that cage, man. Whether they're, doesn't matter on their skill set to me. It's, 10 minutes before you're about to step out in that cage is fucking terrifying. So any man that, gets his hands wrapped and is able to make that walk out there, I've got a pretty decent level of respect for, So, I appreciate those guys that have let me get in there and actually do what I train to do and not back out last minute.
Yeah, you definitely seem like a, consummate professional in like all the facets of the game. Like I saw a post you had earlier in the year where you were talking about like, 155 isn't necessarily like the easiest cut in the world, but it seems like what you've been doing with like bearded bites and kind of like maintaining that like consistent diet has really helped facilitating that 155-pound cut being as smooth as it can be.
Yeah, man, it really does come down to professionalism. Like, I know I'm not the only guy like this, but like, I've got a full-time career. I work almost 90 hours every 2 weeks. I've got 2 kids at home. I got a lot of stuff on the go, and I always make weight, and I'm always fully licensed and ready to go for all my fights. So especially for these young guys that are doing nothing other than train, there's just, there's no excuse to not make weight. Or, there are excuses here and there, but, let your opponent know. There's always these little things here and there, but for the most part, there's no excuse to not get licensed. There's no excuse to just show up, 5-6 pounds overweight and or just miss weight for title fights. Like, it's crazy the stuff we've seen happen over the last 2 years. So there's no excuse for it, really.
Yeah, I would imagine you weren't, particularly stoked seeing that like relatively recent Khamzat Chimaev weight miss. That was pretty egregious there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what was at play there. 8 pounds is a big one. I'm sure it really was that. I'm sure he wasn't actually 8 pounds over. I'm sure he was told to stop weight cutting. But yeah, it definitely didn't help his career, right? So I'm sure he'll pay some punishment for it, but there's just no excuse for that. I really like with what was it? Sarah McMahon just straight up wouldn't fight. Was it Austin Ladd or whatever her name is for missing weight? Just didn't do it, and I respect that, because it's like, when I make 155, it fucking sucks, man. Like, I do it, and I do it professionally, but it sucks, and I suffer a lot for it. So to have guys, and I've had it before, like, can't remember what his name was, Duncan Henry showed up like 17 pounds overweight for one of my fights. It's like, it's a slap in the face, man. It's like getting punched before the fight even starts. It's pretty disrespectful, so.
Yeah, just like, not even really making an attempt to get to the division and stuff like that. Yeah, I get what you're laying down. That would be, hugely frustrating there. But, talking about this opponent here, Gagan Gill, you seem like a guy that is like, studious about the scene and just guys that are out there. And he said that previous experience on a couple different Canadian circuits like BFL and, Mamba Fight Night and different things like that. Like, have you checked out, tape on your opponent, and like, what are his main stylistic attributes from what you can tell?
I think he's just a tough, well-rounded dude, man. I think he's a good striker, banger. I don't think he's a bad grappler. I think me and him have pretty drastic stylistic differences in our striking. His last fight, he plants his feet and he throws heavy, but he eats heavy too. And I like to sting and move. I'm pretty jab heavy, where he mixes it up a lot more. But I think this one, my jab's going to be the one that does the work. I think it's going to hurt him. I think I'm a lot longer. He said he's going to be bigger than me, but the fact that he made 145 and the fact that I'm pretty professional and there's no fucking way in hell I could ever make 145, I can't see him being bigger than me. If not, I feel like I'm going to have a pretty good size and length advantage. So, but I'm not sleeping on him, man. I have a lot of respect for him. I don't see this being an easy fight at all.
Yeah, it's an intriguing one. Like, you talk about the decorated amateur run that you had prior to kind of coming into the professional ranks. It seems like he had a similar, level of success, like just more so being like the BFL, featherweight champion as you were, like thriving with like your lightweight title and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting sort of scene nowadays where it's like the pro experience almost belies the overall experience. Like it's like we're talking, both of you guys have like that amateur experience underpinning it a fair bit before you have transitioned.
Yeah, and I like, he said something in one of his interviews that he's never been submitted, and part of my big game, like my game plan, I was pretty open about this. I want to box him, but I'm kind of greedy, and I would like to be the first guy to make him tap, and I definitely have the jiu-jitsu skill set for that. I don't think he's fought the jiu-jitsu the credentials that I have, so that's definitely in my mind right now to get that submission win.
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like you almost, in a way, want these certain fights to showcase the striking, but usually like the bread and butter kind of comes into it. But also, like you were talking about with the last fight, it's like you were showing the success with the hands, which in a way like almost led to the submission. So yeah, sometimes the context of MMA can be kind of curious. Like you'll see a certain amount of submissions, but it's like, oh well, it was set up by some striking exchanges that rocked them and kind of put them in that position.
Well, I trust my hands now, and even the last fight, the first jab that landed on Tremaine, he gave me a look, and I knew he was very surprised at how much my jab hurt. And it was all downhill from that. I minus the 2 low blows, that fight would have been over pretty fast after that, I feel, and it was. And he threw a good combo, but I blocked everything in between and landed like a little check hook that hurt him, and he backed up against cage. I knew he was done as soon as he shot. I knew it was over. So I'm hoping it's going to go in that direction. The same thing. I do feel I'm going to be able to sting Gill in the beginning and get him to want to shoot to stop the long rangey punches, and that's where my jiu-jitsu will shine.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of one of the last things I wanted to touch on, because like we've shouted out a few of the places you work, like 10th Planet at Etobicoke, Delgado Boxing. In terms of like the, I guess, MMA specific work, are you still working mostly at like Aegis MMA and Niagara Top Team?
I haven't been able to make it the Niagara Top Team. I still train with a bunch of those guys like Aaron and all those guys. But that's when they come to Aegis. All my MMA work's been done at Aegis under Lucas and Lyndon, and it's invaluable, the experience. I always bring Lucas with me because Lucas knows my style. I trust Lucas's opinion, and he's very open with me. If I'm not performing well, he's going to let me know. And same with Lyndon. Lyndon can be very harsh in the gym in terms of letting you know when you're fighting like shit, but Lyndon fucking cares about his fighters deeply, and I respect it, and that's why I know if I working under those two guys that I'm only going to improve. So, but definitely in the room with them, like Scott Hudson, Aaron Jeffries, Bobby, Siri, all those guys. It's a room full of killers. So that's my MMA gym for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that would be so important, that like level of trust and respect with someone who's like giving you the like tough love in a certain sense. Like I feel like if he's like going out of his way to like offer that commentary, it comes from a place of like wanting to subvert that and kind of not see that. I feel like he wouldn't even bother saying anything if the care wasn't there, as it were.
There's no yes men at Aegis MMA, and like I said, Lucas is a little nicer about it, but it's the same thing. But like Lucas and Lyndon, they're going to let you know when you're performing like shit or when you're not putting in the work. They're going to let you know. But it's you can easily tell it's coming from a place of deep caring about their fighters. They want to see their fighters succeed, and you've seen that. Every fighter from Aegis every pro fighter is a fucking stud. Every amateur is a stud, and it's because of them. They make you work hard, and you feel the love when you're in there. And the technical guidance is also very high level. Like I was watching Lyndon jumped in on the wall wrestling and the grappling not too long ago, and I swear that guy could easily just hop back into the rankings and fight pro and be right back in the mix again. And Lucas is very misleading. He's a great kickboxer, and he's got a great eye for the grappling, and he's the reason I have a connection with Lucas, and that's why I always have him cornering me.
Yeah, it seems like such a great communal space, but also like that really high level work and professionalism underpinning it too. So yeah, happy to hear that community is there and you're getting in that good work there, Adam. But yeah, like I was saying kind of from the top, like definitely a busy guy. I mean, I feel like you never take a break. You got your hand in so many different things. So to that point of, the schedule being busy and all, like, is there anything maybe you might want to add as like a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up here?
No, just, I am going for this run. I'm going to finish this guy. I appreciate the work you do too, man. All your work definitely has been very, very beneficial to me, and I always appreciate the interviews, man.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that, man. I always have a fun time talking to you, so definitely a mutually enjoyable kind of thing on my end there for sure. But super stoked to check out this BFL 74 fight here, and people can check that out on UFC Fight Pass if they're not in the immediate area on October 12th. And yeah, I appreciate you, giving some time and insights ahead of this Gagan Gill fight, and just looking forward to checking that out, man. You have a good rest of your day, Adam.
Appreciate the work, brother. Thank you.